Hi, I'm Lee, and in a moment we're going to delve deeper into how I lost 4 dress sizes the healthy way within 6 months without calorie counting, weighing in, or spending loads of time in the gym or sacrificing loads of time with my kids. In fact, I've managed to free up more time than ever to spend with my kids, and there'll be more on that later. Also on the call, we've got our client Jess. She's gone from years of dieting failure to living and achieving her best life within 3 months and can continue to do so forever, just by learning the art of lifestyle changes that lead to big results, and it's all from LBX. So in a moment, you're going to see a 3-way discussion between Jess, our dietitian Ruth, and myself, where we discuss Jess's journey, how we've helped her along the way, and Jess's experience of working with us, and also the big aha moments that she had along the way. You are going to learn a ton from this training, so I suggest you grab yourselves pen, paper, and a nice hot cuppa. If you're interested in getting similar results to Jess or working with us and getting maybe better results, then stick around and I'll come back on camera and I will give you all the information of how you can sign up to our programme. So let's get into it. But before I do go, don't forget to check your inbox or your spam folder for my free ebook, Optimum Lifestyle.
So, Ruth Harvey, dietitian for Pod and P and consultant to LBX. And we've got Jess, who's a busy mum, absolutely smashing LBX. And then you've got myself, Lee, who's the founder of LBX. Okay, so why I started LBX. The reason for this is I've yo-yo dieted for so many years. I've really struggled with my weight. And I think it came to a head in lockdown. Comfort eating, getting into the comfort zone of not being at work, doing everything at home. And unfortunately, I think I got caught into that trap. Something struck a chord with me going back through photos, seeing my girls play, and I thought, I can't do anything about this now. I need to move forward. I need to literally get out of this trap and I need to do something about it. So that is where LBX started and where it came from. And just sort of looking at different food groups was my biggest point, which I wanted to obviously do, because I'd realised I was overtraining, running, doing lots of cardio workouts, and nothing was actually working for me. And I do think I speak for a lot of mums when I talk about overtraining, that we do feel we have to smash so many hours in the gym, and obviously that is not good at all. So hopefully by the end of this Q&A, and using Jess as our case study, we will be able to sort of unpick some of these myths about basically dieting, and obviously why LBX is a way to go. Okay, so Jess, let's talk about your journey a bit, like why or how were you not meeting your goals?
So I've always been slightly overweight, sort of, a stone to a stone and a half. So I've tried various diets, the typical ones, and they've worked for so long. But then my desire to eat naughty food has always trumped my motivation to lose weight. So I've just given up. I've put that down to 2 main factors, really. A, I was hungry, and B, the food that I was eating when I was on the diets just didn't satisfy me.
So you think you went to those foods because you didn't sort of get the satisfaction that you should have done from eating?
I was craving. I never felt full, really. I never had a meal and thought, okay, that's fine. I was constantly thinking about when the next food was going to come along. And similarly to you, Lee, I've always thought that exercise has to be cardio. I've always done a lot of running. But then I've realised since changing habits that actually I could go for a 2-hour run, and actually it's not that effective, because I get myself into my comfortable zone, so my heart rate perhaps isn't as high as it needs to be, so yeah, my exercise perhaps wasn't as effective as it could be.
Okay, so Ruth, what led you then to become a dietitian?
Oh, well, I actually, my loves at school were biology and animals, and then I went to study animal nutrition at university, and part of that course was studying human nutrition. So then I was like, oh, what can I do with human nutrition? So then that led to another qualification in dietetics, so I went back to study dietetics. So yeah, lots of study.
Okay, fantastic. So why LBX then? Why have you decided to work with me on this?
Yeah, because when you contacted me, and so you already had, written a lot of the content and obviously been through it yourself. That's where it stemmed from. And I could just tell from looking at it and speaking to you that what you had experienced and kind of come to of your own conclusion was very, very much aligned with what we had advised people. And I can tell people till I'm blue in the face what they should be doing or what they need to do, but very much what you're about is providing them with that guidance, but also creating that community and support, which is what I as an individual struggle to do. I can chat to people as regularly as I like, to review them if I'm seeing them one-to-one, but I'm not going on that journey with them. As such, we're not starting from the same point, and it's still coming. They've still come to me with that desire to change, and it's almost led by me still telling them what they should be doing, rather than LBX, which is giving you the information and maybe the reasons why. And it's really down to you, which is what it should be always. But when people come to me sometimes with weight loss being the goal, they're still looking for that quick fix.
So why then do you think, why do we sort of get caught in this trap, this cycle? We go for a diet, we think, oh, in 12 weeks I've got this event, I'm going to lose that weight. Why doesn't that work, or this cycle?
There's lots of reasons, physiologically and mentally, why that doesn't work. So diet, typical diets are attractive because often they cut out foods, which is what Jess, you were talking about, kind of then feeling hungry and feeling like you were missing out on certain things. So that's typical of diets. You're following somebody else's rules and they're telling you basically what you shouldn't eat rather than what you should eat more of. And then, so that's just really, as you said, unsatisfying. Your meals are not tasty. You're kind of feeling that you're missing out on the foods that you love most. And it doesn't necessarily fit your lifestyle. So it's not sustainable in the long term. So they tend to be marketed, as you say, with that short-term goal, like lose weight in 12 weeks, which is never going to lead to that weight loss being something that you can sustain long term, because you're going to reach that goal and then you're going to lose your motivation for whatever reason, because the event that you were sort of losing the weight for has come and gone, and that was your motivation. And then it's not an enjoyable diet, so you go back to what you were doing before. So that's one of the reasons, kind of mentally, where it's this horrible sort of yo-yoing thing that goes on, but also physiologically, every time we go on one of those sort of quick fix kind of diets, we're actually, if we drop our weight too quickly especially, then we lower our metabolism, and then as soon as we come off that diet, we're actually eating the same as we were before, but now our metabolism's even slower than it may have been before. And so every time you're doing that, you're kind of suppressing your body's natural way of maintaining a healthy sort of body weight, whatever that is for you. So so physiologically, it doesn't do us much good to always be going up and down with our weight. It's better for us to try and find a steady weight, even if that is slightly heavier maybe than you were when you were 18, for example, which is what people are aiming for, or something.
So what is then intuitive eating and the benefits of it?
So intuitive eating is kind of coined, the term was kind of coined by some dietitians in America. But it's something we all do when we're born. So babies, we know when they're sort of very young, weaning, toddlers, they have this natural ability. They eat when they're hungry, and then they just, they stop when they're full. And we don't have to control their portion sizes. They just naturally ask for food when they're hungry. 4-year-olds every 2 hours, or every hour even. And then, but they stop, don't they? You don't have to kind of too much worry about them overeating. But so then as we get older, society and even our family members start impacting that by talking about food and how much you're eating and what foods are, sort of using words like good and bad foods. And we eat more, we kind of become exposed to more energy dense foods, which are very easy to eat too much of, you know, calorific foods that are high in fat and sugar. You know, they're not going to fill us up, but we're easily going to eat, so we're easily going to eat too many calories. And we just we sort of, because we maybe gain that weight and then we diet and we're following other people's rules, we lose that ability to listen to our own bodies. So it's about the intuitive bit, is in listening to how you feel. Like, what does hunger actually feel like for you? Like, do you feel in your stomach? Do you get a headache? Do you get a bit shaky? You know, if you're getting those kind of symptoms, you've usually left it too long and you want to be eating when you're...
And that's the danger, isn't it, of then going to grab anything, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And then the switch side is also, when you're eating, to be mindful of how you feel and how full you feel, and not overeating so you're feeling uncomfortable, and kind of stopping when you're comfortably full, which is easier said than done, because we spend years, like, we celebrate things with food and we're kind of encouraged to have more or to eat out, and there's a special deal if you have 3 courses and you're like, oh, I really haven't got room for pudding, but I'm going to eat it anyway, that kind of thing. We don't listen to our own bodies a lot of the time. But it's about, if you can tune into your hunger and fullness, you can also then tune into, well, what do I really want to eat? Do I really want that chocolate bar? Or do I really want that apple? Like, I want more other examples, but it's like, well, if I really want that chocolate bar, there's no point me having the apple and then maybe having a slice of toast, trying to resist having that chocolate bar, because you're going to eat more in the lead up, and then you're going to end up having the chocolate bar anyway. So it's, intuitive eating is about listening to yourself, and that doesn't mean that you just eat all the chocolate you want. But so it's quite nuanced, because we tend to fall out of practice with it. It's something that we have to tune back into.
I mean, I remember growing up as a child, and often the rule in our house was you're not allowed any pudding unless you've eaten everything that's on your plate. And I think that's something that sort of sticks with you, because a lot of our relationships with food come from when we're kids, doesn't it? You know, but I've sort of said with my children, if they don't want to finish their meal, that's absolutely fine. I'm not going to make them finish it, you know, because they might want to yogurt after or something, you know, as long as what they're eating is the good stuff, which I'd like to think that there is everything on that plate now, then that's absolutely fine, but not to literally make, you know, you've got to have the whole lot. Jess, how do you feel about that? Because of, obviously, with your little one, is that the same for you?
It is, really. I mean, I'm very lucky. He's always been quite good at eating. Meal times have never been too much of a challenge. If I know if he's had enough, because he's got a really good appetite. So if he's had enough, I know that he's had enough. But just by following LBX, I've really tried to change what he's eating as well, and actually to make sure that he's got a really well balanced plate of food.
Lovely. Okay, so in terms of, we've talked about intuitive eating, then what about like drinking? You know, because surely if we're having low calorie lemonade or, you know, sugar-free Coca-Cola or something, surely that's okay.
So they can, those drinks, the low sort of sugar sweetened, artificial sweetened drinks can help maybe early on in terms of reducing someone's calorie intake, but our body still responds to them, to that sweetness, and you're not really training your taste buds to accept other things. So we know that actually long term, just switching out to lower sugar or artificially sweetened drinks isn't necessarily going to lead to long-term weight loss. It's not the answer, because it's more about all the other foods that you need to be eating. And yeah, you're still going to be craving that sweetness, and the evidence isn't hugely clear, but we think that it might still be sort of having that same metabolic effect almost in our body, with our insulin and things, maybe triggering an insulin response to some of the sweeteners. So I say they do reduce calories, so they can be useful for someone that's maybe having a large quantity of sugary drinks, and they're obviously better for your teeth, but they're not, that alone is not going to be the answer.
Yeah. And what about alcohol, like reducing, people trying to reduce it? Because I think that's something I was aware of. You get into these habits of, in lockdown especially, start of lockdown, you have your tea, kids are in bed, you then have a bag of chocolate, and then we were watching programs on the TV, and then you have a little glass of wine, and before you know it, you're almost repeating that every single night. And that's another habit forming, isn't it? How can we sort of change our alcohol patterns? I mean, I don't drink now, but I was very much aware of how much I was drinking. I know people say, oh, but I don't want to give up the drink, and we're not saying to do that, but I think it's just limiting quantities, isn't it?
Yeah, I think people would be surprised if they're having alcohol regularly, like every night of the week, even if it's 1 or 2 glasses. You'd be surprised at how, if you reduce that right back to maybe 1 or 2 nights a week, how that would impact your weight because of the extra calories that you're having. Because essentially that 1 or 2 glasses every night could lead to like a kilo of weight gain every week.
Goodness.
So by cutting just the alcohol alone, especially if you're then having other foods with the alcohol, like you say, you're kind of snacking alongside it, because it kind of reduces your inhibitions and you're relaxed, you're having a good time, you maybe get something out of the cupboard, and you're sat on the sofa. So that whole habit combined is obviously going to contribute, and it's not going to make you feel that great the next day even, and it's going to impact on your sleep. So it kind of has other effects on how you're feeling and your energy levels and things, which again, you might not notice them because it's an every day you're feeling the same, because every night you're having the same to drink. But I think people would notice the difference if that was literally what they changed. And as you say, a lot of people have got into that habit over the last year. So
and I think like just not having the distractions of actually going out to work, it's that I suppose drinking and eating our emotions, really, isn't it? You eat when you're stressed, you eat when you're bored, whereas I used to think at the start of lockdown I was having to do my job through the day, and I'd be there and think, right, it's 10 o'clock now, I'd be having break time now, or I'd be doing this, so I'll go to the cupboards, and you get a snack, and then before you know it, you're just eating for the sake of it, and then I'm eating in lessons, and and I think that's another spiral, isn't it?
So that kind of comes back to the intuitive eating, where it's like, well, am I actually hungry right now, or am I, as you say, bored or stressed, and what else could I do to relieve that situation? And so people talk about not having the willpower, but I think it's just having other tools to use instead of food. Say we sometimes grow up with food being used as a reward, and that and then we continue that cycle as we get older, and it's okay to have nice foods on special occasions, and occasionally like a meal out as a reward, but when it's more of a regular daily almost occurrence, then it can become more of a problem.
I think that's something else that I recognised I was doing, was actually, I'd lose a little bit of weight. So yes, I would reward myself with food, and it would have been maybe a takeaway on the way home from the slimming group, or, I'd go to the cupboards and I'd have that chocolate bar, and then the next thing I'd start again the next day, but then I'd go back the next week, and then I'd have put the weight on which I'd have lost. And this cycle just sort of continued for me. And I think that's then when I started to get deflated and thought, I'm just going to have to accept my body shape the way it is, because I thought I'd tried everything when obviously I hadn't. You know, I was exercising and I was following these different plans, but clearly it wasn't doing anything. So I was upset. I was eating more because I was upset. I was eating more because I felt stressed and annoyed with myself. So yeah, that cycle just carried on. And I think it is so important to sort of break that, isn't it? And if you can, get out of that way of living with food.
Yeah.
Which sort of brings on to the next point in terms of, I'm quite fascinated between, I didn't realise before, but there is actually a difference, isn't there, between weight loss and fat loss. Can you explain those differences?
Yeah, so weight loss is obviously what we usually are looking at when we step on the scales, but that's going to take into consideration everything that's led to that weight loss. So loss of fat mass, but also muscle mass, and often quite a lot of water, which is tied up with fat. So that's why often weight loss can be quite rapid in the beginning, and then it sort of slows down and becomes harder. Whilst, yeah, your fat loss, what was the other one you said?
So the fat loss and weight loss.
Yeah, the fat loss. Yeah. The fat loss is obviously, just measuring. So you can get these scales, which the ones that you have at home are maybe not that accurate, but you stand on the plates with your feet and it measures your body composition. So yeah, it's obviously much more beneficial to just be losing fat. And we don't really want to be losing muscle mass, especially as we age. So I think it's 37. So you don't have to be that, it's not that old that we basically have our maximum muscle mass that we're likely to have. And then from that point on, we start losing muscle mass naturally as we age. So you really can't afford to be losing muscle mass. And if you go on a very rapid weight loss plan, you're going to be losing as much, like you probably equal muscle mass as you are fat loss at the same time. And then you're going to end up in a not a very good situation, because then that again suppresses your metabolism. It means you need even less calories again because you've lost all that muscle mass. So yeah, that's why doing it more slowly and ensuring, as you focus on in LBX, is that you're having all the different food groups and that you're having adequate protein, but also adequate energy. Because if we don't have enough energy, even though we're wanting to reduce calories, we still need enough energy to retain our muscle mass, because otherwise we start using our own muscles for energy. So that wasn't a very succinct answer, but
no, it's great, thank you. So calorie counting and weighing in, why are they destructive to us?
Well, as you've already described, and I think Jess has said in the past, it's been her experience as well, obviously that number on the scales goes up and down all the time. Yeah. And we just week to week, day to day, it's never exactly the same, independent of what we've been doing. So we can get quite fixated with that when there's actually other measures of health. So that's not to say that, there is research out there that says obviously being overweight does make us more at risk of different health concerns. We can't ignore that fact, but you can also stay the same weight, but build muscle mass, reduce your blood pressure, reduce your cholesterol by eating healthily, doing more exercise, increasing your lung capacity and your heart, improving your heart muscle by exercising. So there's all these other measures, including then how you're feeling and your energy levels, sort of how you're feeling mentally. All those other things are just equally as important. So we tend to fixate just on weight, which is just one measure. And you can have people of a normal BMI who are unhealthy too. So it's not, it's not the whole picture for everyone. And so it can just be very soul destroying, let's say, if you're doing lots of different things and you keep either losing the weight and then gaining it again, or just not losing, when actually if you sort of took a step back from the scales, you could think, wow, I'm doing so much more exercise, I'm feeling way better because I'm able to go for a bike ride with my child or something, you know, which I previously wasn't doing. You know, there's other things that might be important to you, or your blood pressure or something has come down. So there's other things you can look at which are much more motivating than that number on the scales.
Yeah, Jess, have you sort of like weighed yourself since doing LBX? Is that how you track your progress?
I have weighed myself. However, previously to LBX, because our scales are in the bathroom, and just out of habit, every time I go into the bathroom, I get on the scales. So that's probably like 4 or 5 times a day. You know,
over every time, literally every time.
Literally every time. Oh, you know, I went for a walk, maybe I've lost half a pound. It's ridiculous. So I have weighed myself since doing LBX, purely really out of curiosity. But I've only done it perhaps once a week, which compared to what I was doing is, you know, a big improvement.
Yeah, I think it is, again, it's getting out of that habit, isn't it? It's getting out of that mindset of actually thinking that we do get fixated on these numbers, because if we do get to that figure on the scales, what is it actually going to do for us? I think we think it's like the magic number, isn't it? But that's brilliant that you've changed that habit from 4 or 5 times a day to then now going so obviously just weighing once a week. You know, that's huge, isn't it? Do you think that's a way of you checking your progress, or do you think you need to sort of get rid of that sort of mindset? Are you planning to not weigh yourself moving forward?
I think the further on I go, the less I'll weigh myself, definitely, because for a lot of the reasons that Ruth has described, it's not about the weight loss anymore. I feel so much better. I have more energy. I sleep better. So the weight loss is a bonus. And
you need all of those, don't you, for running around after your little one, don't you? You need to make sure you're getting a good night's sleep and you're eating better. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. What about then, Ruth, how important then is accountability and goal setting, working on our mindset and other habits? You know, how important are they, just to sort of stop us falling into this trap of a normal diet? Because as Jess has just said, like, the weight loss isn't the issue now. It's not the drive, is it?
Yeah, so I don't know if it was Jess, I don't know if that was your motivation at the beginning, was the weight. Which it is for majority of people wanting to make a change to their diet. But as you said, that's changed a bit when you've seen the effects of that to other things. So, and obviously, but everyone's going to be coming from a different point. So whatever gets you started, then that's great, kind of thing. So, and it's just small changes. You don't have to change everything overnight. Like the example of the alcohol, for example, just making that one change, if that is a factor for you, can make a big difference. So yeah, and I also commented on the kind of community feel of LBX. So, you know, having that support, which, you know, Jess has had yours. So, yeah, that generally results in better, more long-term sustainable actions. So yeah, you need to be accountable to yourself. Obviously, you need to be doing it for yourself, but it helps to have someone else as well to share it with. And so whether that is other people doing the LBX or your family members. So it's very difficult sometimes if you're making a change, if you've got a family or a partner that you live with, or even housemates kind of thing, then yeah, if they're not all doing it with you, then that's very difficult because it feels like a chore, especially if you're the mum that makes the dinner for everyone and you've got to make yourself a separate meal. So if you can get everyone on board with you that you live with, that's going to help everyone anyway, because to say this isn't a diet, you know, a restrictive diet plan. This is just how the government advises everyone to eat. This is the
Yeah.
national guidelines that you're kind of following. It's just that it's your way of looking at it is quite unique. I think that it's quite clear, and it seems very doable for people, I'd say, when you're sort of reading your guide. It's not, as Jess has been using, it's not reams and reams of information. It's very simple, and so say it can work for all age groups. So there's no reason why people can't do it with you. As I say, it's not going to be difficult for everyone else, and that's gonna help, because as you said, Jess, you've been doing, it's influenced what your son's been eating, so it's not like you've had to have separate things to him. Don't know if I covered all your points then.
No, you did. What about the exercise then? So that's obviously just as important. Jess, how have you found that? The fact that it's the benefits, and it's beyond the physical. So it's not like, I'll be honest, I used to exercise, do a workout, and then go and look in the mirror and think, oh, what's changed? And I'd be looking, you'd be clinging onto that little bit of hope, wouldn't you, that your body has dramatically changed just because you've participated in an hour's class at the gym, or you've done a 30-minute class online. And it was all the time just scrutinizing, because I wasn't happy with my shape. I think I then got myself into a mindset that every time I looked, didn't see a change, that actually it was deflating, it was disappointing. Whereas now I see exercise as not necessarily for the physical, the physical element of it. What about exercise for you? Just how has that changed? So you said obviously you're always into your cardio previously.
Yeah, so it has changed, actually. I think I've almost taken that pressure off myself. And so it's just a lot more enjoyable. I actually look forward to going to the gym. I did a workout today and I didn't think, oh, I can't be bothered, or oh, this is going to be a chore. I really wanted to go. And I think it is just because I've changed the sorts of exercise that I'm doing. I used to dread getting on a treadmill thinking, right, I've got to run now for half an hour. Whereas now I'm doing so many different things in the gym, it keeps it exciting. I know I'm working my whole body. I'm just really enjoying it. I'm not at the moment sort of sticking to a certain schedule, because, schedules change with little ones and a husband who works shifts. But I'm just getting there when I can and really enjoying it.
Ruth, do you think that's a really good sort of attitude, mindset to have then, just to literally sort of go with the flow with it rather than having this structure?
Yeah, it depends what kind of person you are, I guess, what kind of personality you are, in terms of how much structure you want to, some people need to allocate time maybe, but the key with any activity is that it's enjoyable. So you should be, like we say, we call it kind of movement. It's part of the intuitive thing where you do something that makes your body feel good, and that you're not literally just pounding that treadmill, watching the calories count on it just purely for that, which is just not enjoyable, and it's not particularly motivating. And so it can be activity that's just part of your day. As I say, it doesn't have to say, it can be go with the flow, and I'm going to walk to pick the kids up, or I'm going to the kids need to go out, let's go for a bike ride, or I've got half an hour, I'm going to go for a walk, or whatever. It doesn't have to be, I'm going to the gym, I'm going to pay to do this exercise class. If you really like going to the gym, or you really like going to Pilates or kettle size, or whichever, or boot camp, whatever you really enjoy, great. But it can just be walking, gardening, doing the hoovering, like just being active and not sitting for too much of the day. So, and it doesn't have to be this hour of your day. It can be 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. So the recommendations is, half an hour, 5 days a week, and then a couple of another couple of days you do something that requires your exercise, some sort of resistance, like toning kind of exercises. So I say you kind of have to find what you enjoy, which it almost, like you have said, it means getting off that kind of routine of I'm going to have to go to the gym, and just taking that step back. And then maybe you're like, oh, I don't have to go to the gym, so maybe I'll just step outside, or go for a walk with my friend, or do something to make it more enjoyable. And so it's, whatever you do has to get your heart rate up. You should be slightly out of breath, so it can't be too much of a leisurely chat. But
it's a nice brisk walk, but
it's definitely part of it, and that finding that thing that you really enjoy and a way of working it into your daily routine or relaxed routine.
Because I think that's quite daunting for some, mums are busy, aren't they, whether you're working or you're at home or whatever it is, there's a lot of plates to sort of spin and juggle. And I think by then saying to somebody, you've got to sign up to these gym programs for 2 hours each day, it's just sort of like, they're not able to do it necessarily, are they? With juggling with childcare and other commitments, whereas by sort of relaxing it a bit, as you just said, and going for that walk and chatting with a friend, okay, a brisk walk, but I think it's, as you say, it does make it more enjoyable, doesn't it? It does make it seem less frightening, as it were, I guess.
And also in terms of weight loss, it is useful to know, in terms of just the weight loss, so just that number on the scale, that exercise does not generally lead to weight loss. You have to be doing the eating bit, the diet bit, to lose weight. So exercise obviously has a lot of benefits, and it benefits our health, and it helps us sleep better, and it benefits our mental health. So there's every reason to exercise or be physically active every day, but you don't need to whip yourself to do endless hours thinking it's going to help you lose the weight, because as you experience, it doesn't help if you're not doing the diet stuff along with it, the just general healthy eating. I mean, when I say diet stuff, just
I think, Jess, we've both been guilty of that, haven't we? Thinking that we can do all these workouts in the gym and then just eating, and then you think that's it, you've done your bit, but actually
that's it. I went for a 5k run, so I'm going to eat the cake.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's making sure that you're fueling your body, I think, with the right sorts of foods, isn't it? And not necessarily having that cake every time you go out, or for when you go for a run and things like that. That's really important. So what about your eating habits, Jess, before, what were they like before LBX? Were they, I mean, you said about you liked certain foods, and the naughty foods, as you called them. What was it like before?
I think for me, really, it was probably portion control. I'm largely vegetarian, always have been. So I've never had an issue with fruit, veg, salad. There's always fruit, veg and salad on my plate. I have at least 7, probably 10 portions a day. However, I also like carbs. So if I was having a spaghetti bolognese, it would be a mountain of pasta. There'd be a lot of pasta on that plate. And no green accompaniment either, just literally the spaghetti and the veggie bolognese. So yeah, it was just eating to feel really full, rather than just eating to feel satisfied. Last night, for example, my husband cooked, and we had salmon and some asparagus and green beans on a bed of noodles, and I could see straight away it was way too many noodles. Normally I'd have just eaten the whole lot, but I left half of them because I knew it was too much, and I was full. I was comfortably full. I did not need the other half of the noodles. I wouldn't have done that 2 months ago. I'd have eaten a lot.
That's amazing, isn't it?
It was just, I mean, I've always had a good appetite for food, haven't we all? But I've just always eaten too much too big of portions and not got the balance right.
Mm-hmm. So how do you think then it's changed like now so far, like in terms of, do you think this is something you will sort of maintain?
Well, yes, because I'm never hungry. I enjoy the food that I eat, and I feel so much better for it. It doesn't feel like a diet. And just all the other benefits that go with it just make it so worthwhile. You know, the not feeling tired, the sleeping well, which quite often when I was on diets previously, and it did feel a bit like I was starving myself, I then just felt really tired or got headaches or didn't sleep well. So it's just, it's the whole package. LBX really, you know, yes, it focuses on what you should be eating, but the implications are way beyond just losing weight.
So I think that's really important to stress, isn't it? Like it's not a diet, it's not a plan. I don't know what you sort of class it as, but we're not telling you what you can and what you can't eat. So Jess, if you fancied a piece of cake today, do you think you could have had it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And would you have eaten it with maybe without the guilt?
Yeah, I'd probably felt quite guilty. But if it's a once in a while, then it's fine. If I have a bit of cake today, but then don't have any more for 2 weeks, then I consider that to be okay. We have to have treats. And, you know, we all need that little pick-me-up every now and then. You know, every now and then it might be nice to go and enjoy a glass of wine in a beer garden in the sunshine. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'd deprive myself of that. But it's just getting the balance right. And a bit like you, Lee, sort of right in the middle of lockdown, I wasn't moving very much. I probably had wine most nights, probably with chocolate or crisps. And yeah, I just got into those bad habits. But I think just the variety of food that I'm eating now and the fact that it fills me up just keeps all those cravings away. I haven't craved anything that I would normally, like crisps, chocolate, biscuits. It's just completely gone. I don't feel the need for any of it.
And do you think, Ruth, that's because of just filling the body with better foods of better quality, like nourishing the body?
Yeah, so your body, you do say, I mentioned kind of, you know, the taste buds adjusting a little when we're talking about fizzy drinks and that sort of need for sweetness. But so it's partly, yeah, kind of adjusting to not having those foods and enjoying other foods and realizing, oh, well, actually, I feel really satisfied from eating this because, you know, I made it taste good. But also, if you're eating regular meals and they're balanced, so LBX, you know, clearly sort of shows that you need a balance of protein, a balance of starchy carbohydrates, and a balance of fruits and vegetables at every meal. And so if you're doing that, your energy levels are going to be steady through the day. So you're not going to have a big slump of low blood sugars and kind of your body's saying, oh, I need sugar. And then you want those quick hits of cake or biscuits or crisps or whatever to lift your blood sugar, and it goes whoop up and then crashes again an hour later, and then you want something else. So you kind of get out of that cycle of your blood sugars doing this across the day. So if you've got, yeah, that regular sort of energy levels, and your sleep's better, so you're feeling good in that regard as well, you know, you're less tired because of the sleep, then your body's just not your body, you know, previously your body might have been saying, I really am tired. I'm just really tired, or I just really need some carbs and some protein, or I really need some fruit and veg. You know, I need all of those things in my body, but I don't really know what is going on and I just feel rubbish. So give me quick bit of sugar. So yeah, if you kind of can get everything back on an even keel and feel good, then yeah, your need for those foods should lessen. And as you say, you should be able to enjoy small amounts of those foods alongside those meals. So you have, you know, a small, like a normal portion of dessert after your dinner or something, and you do that occasionally, and that feels nice and you do it because you're still hungry, or you do it because it's a special occasion maybe, but you know what I mean? It's like you're not only going in for those foods.
Yeah.
They're kind of, you say, they're the occasional things on top of it, just generally eating everything your body needs.
So Jess, we know obviously it's had an impact, benefit on your little boy. What about your husband? You know, you tended to eat the same things now. Has he noticed any sort of changes?
Yeah, so I would say, I mean, I think he's noticed that my mood is better and that I'm definitely less anxious. He's enjoying the variety of food a bit more. I think we just, as particularly with lockdown, we just got kind of used to eating the same foods all the time. Whereas now we're sort of exploring new recipes. He's really enjoying the cooking, like he's cooking tonight, which is great. However, I wouldn't pressurise him into following it completely.
Yeah.
Just because he doesn't have the same desire to do it as I do. And to be honest, that works quite well for us. We've always eaten slightly different things anyway, because I am vegetarian and he isn't. So I'm quite used to cooking different things. We both are, and it's no issue or stress to us to do that. And yeah, so that works quite well for us. And I think he's just happy that I'm happy with this, and he'll support me.
So given then your experiences and results, do you think you'd likely recommend LBX to other mums, and why?
Yeah, definitely recommend it. And I think because it just doesn't feel like a diet, it feels like a lifestyle change, but one that is actually quite easy to implement. But also I think just the level of support, just knowing that you're constantly at the end of a phone, and it's someone to share your celebrations with a little bit. You know, if I've had a good workout at the gym, I just feel the need to tell someone. And I don't know, it just makes me feel really good. And you know, to share recipe ideas and to take photos of my plate of food and send it to you, and for you to straight away say yes, that's great, or you could change this. So yeah, just having that constant support as well, which I don't think you'd get with any other diet. It's not a diet, but with any other plan. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it.
So then I think that's where we still struggle, don't we, in terms of dieting, and obviously LBX not being a diet, not necessarily being a structured plan. You know, we're not telling people what to eat, but I think it's the biggest thing is being accountable, because I've made some terrible mistakes in terms of food and exercising, and I think LBX is all about changing the lifestyle. Jess, you mentioned that word, and I think that's huge, isn't it? You know, weight loss for you was the drive initially, but isn't now. But it's all the other factors, isn't it? The better sleep, it's the just feeling good because you're going to the gym and you're enjoying your workouts. It's actually enjoying the foods that you're eating. So it's a whole sort of multitude of things, isn't it? You know, and I think that's really important to get across, isn't it? Ruth, do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what's going to make it sustainable, let's say. And that's what makes it different to any quick fix, lose so many pounds in so many weeks kind of diet plan, which only has that in mind. They don't care if you feel good. So yeah. And also obviously Jess has followed your plan, for want of a better word, your ideas, but obviously implemented it how she feels best for her and her family, right? So you've not told her exactly what she's got to cook and exactly what she's got to eat every day. So it's, yeah, you know, Jess has come to this point on her own.
Yeah, definitely.
As well, so that's exactly it as well. So it's like finding what suits you. So the LBX gives you a framework to work within, but as you say, because you're not telling them exactly what to eat, it means that you should be able to continue that on your own, even without obviously the support is necessary and nice to have at the beginning, but in a year's time, hopefully everything you're doing now, Jess, if it will have become a habit, and you won't think about it, because that's the trouble with dieting all the time. You're always thinking about food or exercise or whatever, and if you can put these changes into place, they should become your new habits, which don't require constant effort. And that's
which I think then leads nicely on to top tips, doesn't it? I think, like if we all had to pick three, what would be your top 3 tips? So for me, I think I would say, like, just become more active. And as we spoke about earlier, just going for that walk, whether it's a friend, or going for that bike ride with the kids. I'd say drink more water, stay hydrated, or like a very weak squash, for example. And I think plan and prepare your meals. Just be prepared, just plan ahead of what you're going to eat that day. I think that has really helped me sort of stay focused. Who's going next?
So I can go if you like. I would say that obviously, if you've looked at the LBX, you might be hopefully thinking, oh great, this sounds really achievable, but you might also be a bit scared of thinking, oh, I've got to eat that at every meal and what have you, and it might be a big change for you. But even just doing something small, so it's not like you have to sign up, say, when you're not being told exactly what to eat, so you don't have to sign up and just follow this really rigid plan from the beginning. You can decide, I'm going to eat one more portion of veg with each meal, or something small to begin with, and slowly make those changes. So that'd be my sort of number one, my lengthy number one. My number 2 would be to not worry about failing either, because we're not looking at that number on the scales, and there's all these other measures you can look at, and this is a long-term plan. So if you have a setback for one day, it doesn't mean the whole thing's blown. It just means the next day you start afresh, and you don't give any more thought to the previous day. And then my final one was, which LBX allows you to do anyway, but it was to address those other things, which kind of naturally happened for Jess in terms of it improved her sleep and things. But sleep routine, which is all part of the LBX, is, it takes into account your kind of other habits, but looking at your stresses and your sleep routine. So if you can address those things, it's not all just down to diet, because those things impact massively on what we eat and how well we feel and whether we can or can't make changes. So they're very lengthy.
I like them, they're good.
Over to you, Jess.
Okay, so my tips would be to always plan the meals, like you said, Lee. I think it just keeps you, like you say, focused. So, if it gets to sort of mid-afternoon and it's time to have a snack, what that snack's going to be, rather than having to go and find it and, maybe come across something that wouldn't be as beneficial to you as one of your LBX suggestions. My other tip would be to talk about what you're doing and celebrate it, which I've been doing a lot with you, Lee, and I've just found that really exciting and motivating to be able to tell someone about something that I feel like I've achieved. It just gives me that motivation to keep on track, and always explore new recipes, keep food exciting, that's it. That's my 3 tips.
See, that they're all really, really good, aren't they? Really if they sort of went listening to those, they make me sort of really excited about the plan, the lifestyle, the changes, because it's not just about exercise and food and weight loss as we've established. It's about the whole package, and I think that's so important to get across, that we want to make this a lifestyle change for people. People who feel that they maybe haven't got the confidence to go and walk into a gym, or they maybe not have the support of family and friends when it comes to body goals, for example, and actually being able to share that with somebody and people get really excited for you, I think is an absolute bonus, you know, where it will be a community of, you know, complete strangers, but they will then embrace the same and celebrate the same changes without sort of going to reward themselves with food. Do you agree with that? Yeah. Right,
Yeah.
thank you very much. Any other points do you think we need to cover or mention?
I can't think of anything else. I think we've covered most of it.
Ruth, can you
I don't think so? No, I don't think so. I think like Jess's experience on it, and I think it's sounds great. You know, so I think we said lots of good stuff about it. So yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thank you both so much. I really, really appreciate this. This is amazing. So hopefully we can catch up again about another topic at some point. Brilliant. Thank you very much.
My internet's gone a bit quickly, but yeah. Have a good evening.
And you, take care. Bye.
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 Hi, me again. I hope you enjoyed that training. So, what I'd like to do now is ask you a question. Would you like to see the same or similar results to Jess? Maybe to work with one of our team of experts who will be able to fast track your success without all the dieting failures that you've experienced before. Sounds good? Okay, what I'd like you to do is click on the button below this video and that will take you to an application form. The application form is super easy to fill in and will literally take you about 2 minutes. Once you've filled in the application form, you'll be able to give me a time of when is best for us to chat. The call will take about 20 to 30 minutes and on the call we'll be able to discuss what is the best route for you and how we can help you. And if we can't help you, we'll try and recommend somebody who can. To ensure we're a good fit, there's a few requirements I need you to consider. And then, if we can work through those, then we know we're a good fit. If you answer no to any of them, then unfortunately, this is not for you. I need to be really, really clear that this is not for mums who want a quick fix. It's not for those who are looking for cheat sheets, tick sheets, or any of the diet industry stuff, learning material that you tend to be given. This is for mums who want to invest in themselves and their families. This is for mums who are looking for results long term, like myself, Jess and Ruth have all done. If that's you, then working with us will give you the knowledge, motivation, through encouragement and hard work for you to learn skills that you can take with for the rest of your life. Okay, so I'll see you on the call. If you're still unsure, let me ask you this. How would it feel to buy clothes in a smaller dress size? How would it feel to be able to run around with your children without feeling exhausted all the time? And how would it feel for you to feel desirable again? Okay, I know it would feel amazing, wouldn't it? So I'll see you on the call.